I'm always delighted to be with Saul News. This has been such a leader in the conservative movement and the Republican Party.
Welcome to the Saul's Newsstand News Rewind for April 24th, 2026. Red State reports, Congressional Democrat approval rating hits rock bottom as discontent grows ahead of 2026 midterms. Support for Democrats in Congress has collapsed to just 3%, 1 point above the lowest level Gallup has ever recorded. The 3% figure for Democrats is not a one-off. Democrats' approval of Congress has hovered in the low single digits for nearly a year, a stretch that coincides almost exactly with Democrats' sustained campaign of obstruction against the Republican majority's agenda. A party that has spent the past year blocking legislation, rejecting compromise, and prioritizing obstruction over governance has little standing to be surprised when its own base stops believing in the institution. Just the News reports, Watchdog GAO estimates fraud costs taxpayers between $233 billion and $521 billion annually. A new federal watchdog report is warning that fraud across government programs remains widespread, costly, and difficult to contain, with officials describing a system strained by complexity, fragmented oversight, and evolving criminal tactics. Testifying before lawmakers, Government Accountability Office officials said the scale of the problem is staggering. The agency estimates that fraud costs the federal government between $233 billion and $521 billion annually, based on recent data. The Government Accountability Office also warned that fraud is no longer limited to isolated bad actors. Organized criminal gangs have increasingly targeted government programs, particularly during periods of rapid spending such as pandemic relief efforts. Officials emphasized that fraud schemes are constantly changing, requiring agencies to adapt just as quickly. Traditional enforcement methods alone are not enough. And finally, the Washington Examiner reports, GOP congressman wants to add Arlington and Alexandria back to D.C. Representative Rich McCormick introduced legislation on Wednesday to reincorporate Arlington and Alexandria, two independent jurisdictions in Northern Virginia, into the District of Columbia. The move harkens back to a time when the federal district extended west into the neighboring state. The aptly titled Make D.C. Square Again Act would reverse an 1846 congressional action, known as retrocession, that ultimately ceded Arlington County and the city of Alexandria to Virginia a year later. At the time, the two areas were collectively known as Alexandria County. McCormick argued that the retrocession process 180 years ago was unconstitutional because Congress had no authority to cede territory back to the states under the Enclave Clause in the Constitution. And that concludes your Saul's Newsstand News Rewind for April 24th. For more political news faster, visit saulsnews.com.